Well, hello everybody, I'm Brad2. Welcome back to Pikmin 4. Today is the part that's going to be very interesting and very fun. Olimar's notes on the Piklopedia. We've got 125 entries to read. So, let's do it. You know, I haven't done this yet. I mean, it's kind of fun just to fun around with this for a second, right? Now what? I hear you have infinite items. Oh yes, definitely. Haven't used one of these before. It's just like I'm playing Pikmin 2. Well, that'd be OP if I actually use that. And can't I, like, spawn in a bunch of Pikmin or something? How do I do that? Oh, look, I could just... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's enough fun with that. Let's actually start reading these things. Oops, wrong button. But this is kind of funny, so. Oops. Although initially defined as a juvenile bulborb, this is Pikmin 2 note. Groundbreaking new research indicates that this creature is in fact a member of the breadbug family, a close relative of the breadbug. That's supposed to say a vanilla breadbug. And it gets predation through mimicry. Okay, new paragraph. Unique adaptation of bulborb's crimson coloration allows the species to safely commingle. Such effective adaptation of an obfuscation by a prey species is rare, indicating this clever creature is a master of mimicry. Why is there space? Why is there... Who did that? Who thought that was a good idea? A bulbor larva, after its first molt, due to its pale coloration, it was assumed to be a mimic, but when it was first discovered, it was later confirmed to be a true dwarf bulborb. To avoid predation from adult bulborbs, it spends the majority of the daytime hours hiding underground. It becomes more active at night when its pale coloration is more difficult to see. This large organism has the familiar mandibles and copy and paste text from Pikmin 2 and cranial morphology of the Grubdog family, as well as the characteristic bulging eyes. As with most Grubdogs, the creature's cranium comprises half of its total length and girth. Who keeps hitting the Enter key? Showing a scarlet abdomen with white spots, this creature is primarily nocturnal and choosing to prey upon smaller creatures to turn to their nests. Originally classified as the spotty bulborb. Well, it's been a long time since we had to do that. It's been over 20 years, Olimar, since you did that. You have to keep saying it. Further research has reclassified this species as a classic or basic bulborb. Some species of various colors have recently been discovered, but academics are divided over into two rival camps over how to handle their classification. During reproduction, after an egg is fertilized by a sperm, any excess chromosomes are usually discarded through a process called meiosis, but occasionally this process fails to occur and a bulborb individual will develop irregularly due to this chromosomal abnormality. Specimens like this one are stronger than the average bulborb and can exhibit more aggressive behavior. However, they are not able to procreate, and they'll never reach sexual maturity. I had to say that. Just as the dwarf red bulborbs make the appearance of the bulborb, it was theorized that the variant mimicking the orange bulborb must also exist. Recent fieldwork has confirmed this theory. This bulborb species boasts a garish color pattern with a deep orange body and black spots. The orange bulborb's yellow bloodshot eyes make it clear this bulborb is excessively edgy and high-strung. Is it emo? Making it much easier to wake from deep sleep than other species of the Grubdog family. Man. Why would it record? I always gotta get some frog in my throat or something. As a spotty bulbar larva in its third stage of development, this creature's body structure is nearing maturation. However, unlike mature bulbars, it has yet to claim its own patrol route and thus is dependent upon its parent for guarding direction. A mid-sized subspecies within the grub dog family, the spotted bulb bear's unique feeding habits set apart from other grub dogs. It patrols a set path, searching for prey instead of passively feeding on the creatures that wander to a limited territorial range. When entering a spotted bulb bear habitat, it's wise to proceed with extreme caution. The bull bear's patrol path can be clearly identified. I've read most of these things before. Much like the more mature specimens, the juvenile frosty bulborb is able to create and carry ice on the epidermis that promotes extracellular freezing. However, they take an entire night to regenerate their ice, which is why they're often accompanied by adults. Juveniles display a smaller number of spots than the adults, causing some to believe that this was actually a species of mimicking bread bug. However, the results of further analysis prove this is not the case. A bulborb with large amounts of ice and frost coverings midsection, it's unusual to find ice such as this attached to a living organism, as it's cold enough to freeze small animals and regenerates any ice mass that gets broken off. This bulborb species and intracellular stores of this bulbar species, intracellular stores of sugars, amino acids, and organic acids provide it with a plant-like resistance to freezing, making it possible for the bulborb to touch the ice without freezing itself. So it's kind of the opposite of the hairy bulborb from Pikmin 2. Bring back the hairy bulborb. Bodily excretions of a highly flammable waxy substance interact with the cell structure of this grub dog's skin, causing a chemical reaction that produces extremely high temperatures. The skin benefits from a spongy cell structure that diffuses the surface heat, protecting the creature's inner organs. Due to the astonishing amount of heat produced by this beast, it should be observed with great caution. We're still going. Instead of the gnashing jaws usually found in related species, it uses extendable viscous tongue to capture prey. Even before it opens its mouth, it's recognizable by its tapered snout and black spots against its white back. Some theorize that it evolved its long tongue to snatch prey drawn to high-blooming flowers, but a recent finding confirmed that until its second molt, this creature feeds with its teeth, much like the other grub dog species. It will begin to use its tongue once it reaches adulthood. I don't remember if that's the Pikmin 3 Deluxe notes Olimar has or not. I don't think so. It doesn't look that familiar. But then again, I'm not quite as familiar with the Pikmin 3 Deluxe Piklopedia as the Pikmin 2 one. As the name implies, this creature is a bulborb in the early stage of development. Its distinct bulbal coloration is yet to appear, but it already exhibits other unique bulborb characteristics. It is capable of hunting nourishment independently with the help of its parents. Initial observations are placed down to the capability of the grub dog family to support a strong ant-like or bee-like social structure, but recent studies show the family is capable of such complexity for brief periods when certain external parameters are met. The egg sac of the largest female grub dogs within a given range swells to dramatic proportions in response to environmental changes, such as sudden depletion of the prey species. These females temporarily take on the role of pack matriarch. Also, in pack formation, it has been observed that not nearly all males not involved in species reproduction undergo natural sex changes. The characteristics of such specimens are quite intriguing indeed. I had to say that. The largest member of the grub dog family is normally found, I'm great at reading, buried underground. Its camouflage allows the predator to surprise smaller creatures and uses long adhesive tongue to capture prey. I wasn't even looking at the word tongue, and I want to say it out loud because I knew it was coming. What's wrong with me? The thick hide and angular hump give the organism a distinct rock-like quality. During the mating season, a moss grows freely on its hump, making it nearly impossible to distinguish from this lethal predator from a stone. Now that's not an exact copy. Is it supposed to say like any garden variety of stone or something like that? An Emperor Ball Blacks of extremely advanced age. It will no longer display the pack behavior commonly exhibited by younger members of its species. Instead, as an individual ages, it leaves the herd and exhibits more solitary behaviors. It feeds by using its strongly developed legs to leap upon and crush its prey with speed disproportionate to its massive body. To determine the age of any given specimen, you can count the rings of a hide calcified in the form of the carapace. One ring forms roughly every year during the year the creature lives. Individuals with over 100 age rings have been discovered so far. The sovereign bulblax's back is often covered in moss and I'm pretty sure the P is silent. Pteridophytes. Whatever. On a few occasions, specimens have been found with rare species of mushroom called a bulboral growing on its back. This creature expels a volatile phosphorus compound from its snout that combusts upon contact with air. Its fire's breathing ability is dependent upon the air-to-fuel ratio at its mouth. Catalyst reactions with an expel compound and purification of the compound enter. Thus, it is highly unlikely such a complex process would cause the spontaneous combustion of a fallen specimen. or blowhog. This process also perhaps to avoid the risk of much spontaneous combustion in the belly of a live specimen. There's the word specimen. However, one should still treat a fiery blowhog with great care during transfer. A variant subspecies of the fiery blowhog, the watery blowhog, lacks several of the genes necessary for the production of fire-producing catalysts and thus expels jets of the non-flammable liquid. And the subspecies appears to have only recently evolved. That's not true anymore. However, the hereditary traits of this variant are dominant and not robust, so its population is rapidly increasing, which is basically just a really good way to explain why there's more watery blowhogs in Pikmin 2 than fiery blowhogs. I think. In this case, I don't think that's true. But I don't remember how many fire blowhogs or water blowhogs there are in this game, so who knows? This species has the ability to condense atmospheric carbon dioxide with an organ called a cold sac. The cold sac creates dry ice, and its vapors are then expelled as icy breath. A close relative of this to the species, the fire blowhog keeps its internal body temperature from rising because the phosphoric compounds expelled only ignite when they make contact with the air. Oh man. In contrast, the snowy blowhog maintains internal body temperatures below freezing, and its other internal organs are protected by thick layers of fat and the extracellular freezing that occurs within the cold sac. Or its cold sac, same difference. Due to hormone abnormality, this fire blowhog specimen has grown to an irregular giant size. As a result, its mouth and the organs that regulate its fire-breathing abilities are significantly larger, so the firepower of this specimen greatly exceeds that of its normal counterpart. The fire it produces is actually so strong that the stress it places on the creature's internal organs is magnified, thus reducing its overall lifespan. The specimen is also unable to reproduce. This specimen is actually a snowy blowhog with that lethal expeller. The specimen is actually a snowy blowhog, that lethal expeller of icy air. However, it's grown to a gigantic size thanks to an endocrine abnormality. Unlike the Titan blowhog, this condition does not sentence as blizzarding blowhog with a shorter lifespan. In fact, its lifespan is actually much longer than that of the average snowy blowhog. The organs that produce the dry ice are also enlarged in the specimen, perhaps in order to make production more efficient. Similar to an ancestor species of the fiery blowhog, this creature has a pair of sharp tusks that it uses to charge enemies with vigorous violence. It demonstrates its aggressive nature when it pursues its prey and when it's attacked by a predator of its own. Man. In the case of the latter, the tusked blowhog will attack its attacker, causing them to balk at it while it can dash away to safety. This species also has an extremely sharp sense of smell, which it uses to detect the pheromone-like scent of its favorite food, underground mushrooms. Wow, oh there it is. This specimen is a lithopod larva. Lithopods, like flint beetles, use internal metabacteria to aid chemical digestion. These metabacteria can also survive in certain environments, such as within the body of certain insects. Lithopod larvae do not contain any metabacteria immediately after hatching. Larvae feed on parts digested on or regurgitated by mature lithopods, ensuring the larvae obtain metabacteria they would not normally have acquired. Man. The last video was bad, this one's even worse. Males of this species are known for their horn-like blowholes. When females reach maturity, the blowhole closes and they lose the ability to launch rocks. At the start of breeding season, the females lay eggs on rocks launched by a male. The rocks then become food for the growing larva. Though once mistaken for adult armored cane beetles, this species is actually a naturalized non-native species that migrated here from another continent. The horned cane beetle can breed with adult armored cane beetles, but only about half of the eggs will actually hatch. This hybrid species has the potential to seriously pollute the gene pool. Furthermore, it exhibits aggressive territorial behavior, sometimes launching boulders at young armored cane beetles, which has driven the last species to the verge of extinction. So that's why there's no Pikmin 2. That's why they're not there. Like other members of the lithopod family, its internal bacteria are specialized to form ice compounds from ambient moisture, which it then expels as projectiles. It technically doesn't rely on cold temperatures to create this ice, which is formed by the pressurized internal fluids that act as a coolant. When the projectiles rapidly expand, they absorb ambient heat, lowering the air temperature enough for moisture in the air to freeze. Now this, I'm pretty sure, is the Pikmin 3 Deluxe note. Upon reaching maturity, the blowhole on its head closes, leaving in its place the pointed crest of the Arctic cane beetle's shell. In order to get enough food in nutrient-deficient environments, adult specimens start breathing through their mouths. Some experts have posited that this adaptation caused the species to lose territorial competition with the armored cane beetle larva, driving it into colder environments. Though this beetle has increased suction strength, it must ventilate via a spiracle on its abdomen and open its shell to avoid rapid bodily inflation. The males of the species are purple and black creatures with tapered mouths, while the females are lighter in color and lack an armored exoskeleton. As with most mandibulards, these creatures have regressed to the point where they have lost both legs and wings. They can be seen crawling around on the ground and are believed to feed on the vegetable extracts from the congealed fluids of expired Pikmin. This species is a male shear grub, having lost both wings and legs. Same difference. The male burrows into the soil and waits to ambush small creatures that pass by. This beast's mandibles can be dangerous, making creatures such as Pikmin easy prey. The mama shear grub will typically molt when it reaches maturity, then dig itself to the ground to prepare for egg laying. However, certain types, like the specimen, exhibit neoteny and retain the appearance of a juvenile of the species. If this species locates an abundant food source, they won't leave it. Sometimes they'll stay at that spot for years, steadily growing to gigantic proportions, like this one. Though this specimen has the look of a juvenile, it has fully developed reproductive abilities and can achieve impressively high birth rates. Offspring, however, are the same size as a typical shear grub. Excuse me, I had to burp. Unusual for their genus, flying mandibulards have retained their wings. However, only the adult males of the species can fly. Females of the species spend most of their lifespan underground. They do emerge for a period after maturation to spawn, but never metamorphose. How have you pronounced that? I've never really been sure, to be honest. The sensory hairs growing on this creature's orange body segments can detect body temperatures, movement, and carbon dioxide levels. It clings... Carbon dioxide? It clings to its prey with claw-like front legs and sucks their blood through its pointed proboscis. Research has found that the shear flea can store energy created while concentrating its bellows-like body in the elastic proteins located at the roots of its hind legs, allowing it to repeatedly jump very high. Its reproductive rates are rather explosive. A small group of egg-laying females can boom to a population of over 100 in a moment's time. Wow, that just sounds great. Others of this family wear their shells on their bodies, but this one shell functions more like a helmet. Its wings have atrophied into uselessness, so instead it burrows beneath the ground and pops up only to pierce prey with its needle-like proboscis and drain the bodily fluids. Larval dust mites remain underground for years, or even decades in some cases. It's a close relative of the original burrow species, but this variety of dust mite still has the use of its wings. Oddly, it still makes its habitat below ground and employs the same tactic of lying in wait before emerging to strike. The helmet, putting its head, is functionally as hard as steel due to waxy secretions in its pores that absorb and redirect any shock it sustains. That seemed pretty familiar as well. The scarpins originally lived on the ground, sporting poorly developed vestigial wings. This species developed large antennae that can be used as makeshift wings. Scarpinids are attracted by the sight of large groups of Pikmin cavalry formation. Cavalry and cavalry are very different things. I always get the two words mixed up. And will swoop down to seize them. However, Scarpinids do not eat Pikmin, and they will drop any seized Pikmin after a short time. The reason for this behavior is unknown, but I look forward to future research in the area. You've been... Like, you had plenty of time to research this, Olimar. Like, if Pikmin 4 comes before Pikmin 3, you couldn't figure it out there, and you didn't figure it out here, you didn't figure it out Pikmin 2. Are you gonna bother even looking into this anymore? The skater leaf is a relative of the pond skater that sheds wings and adapted to life on the ground. With no residual traits of its airborne past, the skater leaf can neither fly nor skid across the surface of the water. The wings have since evolved into leaf-like structure on its back, which serves to hide skater leaf through mimicry. It appears quite effective, as few predators can see through its clever disguise. The skitterling variant that resembles dead leaves. Its legs have developed in specific ways. The front claws capture prey, while the flat hind legs are suited for running and swimming. Its highly tuned senses keep it still for any creatures but Pikmin. Once it gets its claws on its prey, it doesn't easily let go. Recent research has revealed that its camouflage has a second purpose beyond hunting. Scavengers are fooled by its disguise into carrying its eggs, thereby expanding its population, and that is the Pikmin deluxe note as well. Members of the real family are known for carrying objects of astounding size on their backs, then mimicking them. The fire dweevil The fire dweevil is one species in this family. Generally, this is a very gentle insect that feeds on grass nectars, but when faced with danger, the fire dweevil ignites flammable internal gases, juts out its jaw, and spews scorching flames. As this clearly makes it a rather dangerous insect, it's best not to linger directly in front of it. Okay, I am at number... What number am I at? It doesn't really tell me. So much more to go. So much more to go. Members of the Dweevil family are known for carrying objects of astounding size on their backs and mimicking them. The Anon Dweevil is one species in this family. They seem to have no particular preference for which objects they carry on their backs, but as they will carry anything they can lift. They boast an internal organ that generates electrical charges, which the Anon Dweevil releases when it senses danger. Man, the Pikmin 2 version is just so much worse than this. The Hydro Dweevil is the Caustic Weevil, is one member of the insect family known for mimicking objects by carrying them on their backs. Several points of differentiation with other members of the species have been confirmed, such as body color and behavioral patterns, but none of these suggest deviations in the creature's genetic structure. This makes it clear that it is a relative of the family. When attacked by enemies, the Caustic Weevil spits out bodily fluids in response. Spacesuits corrode and oxidize when they come in contact with this liquid. Which just makes more sense. We call it Caustic Weevil. Dweevils have varying body colors in response to their feeding habits. Each species feeds on different types of plants and small animals, so the symbiotic bacteria that creates their pigmentation differ as well. The ice-blown Dweevil lives in cold habitats and spews frigid gas, so the workings of a symbiotic bacteria are dulled, and it retains its natural color, which is... Darn it. Symbiotic bacteria are dulled and obtain its natural color, which is white. It's been confirmed that in more temperate climates where food that a fried weevil eats is readily available, the iceman weevil's coloration is much peachier. Did I ever read Donald's notes on this one? I don't think so. Achoo! It's always important to keep your cool, but my proximity to this frosty darling may be making me a bit too cold. Just one blow from this critter as it skitters about it on its icy long legs is quite chilling. Indeed, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I don't know, but I read it again, so who cares? Ooh, Venom Dweevil. Did I read this one before? I think... Yeah, I think I did. The Venom Dweevil is one member of the Dweevil family, which is known for mimicking objects by carrying them on their backs. These insects often carry the carcasses of the life forms on their backs. Apparently, this is not for the purpose of transporting them as food, but instead another example of their mimic behavior. The Venom Dweevil produces two different chemical compounds within its body, which form poisonous gas when mixed and expelled. This gas is used only for self-defense and pranks. This spider-like creature has distinctive yellow stripes on its black carapace. It spins webs in high-traffic areas and waits for prey to blunder into them. Unlike its relative in the arachnoid Dweevil family, it's ambisexual and has 8 hind legs. Some theorize that its gynandry is meant to aid in reproduction, although, of course, it cannot reproduce on its own. There is another theory that the species is in fact two organisms of opposing genders stuck together, but since no one has ever found a 4-legged single-sex specimen, it remains speculative, and that is the Pikmin 3 note as well, so yeah, basically, they are using the same ones. Shaky long legs that has lost its hair. It has similarities to the beady long legs, but it doesn't secrete wax from its exoskeleton, and thus lacks its cousin's unique patterning. The absence of wax also allows small insects to climb on its legs without slipping. Its central orb splits horizontally, but researchers have yet to determine the significance of this difference. This species of arachnoid family fuses with machinery at a crucial point in the maturation process, giving it the ability to fire energy bursts from the launcher beneath its orbicular torso. So what machinery? Like, where does this machinery come from? However, the man-at legs itself is not in control of this weapon. Instead, the mechanical portions of the structure appear to automatically fire and attack targets. The man-at legs has a gentle disposition, and a member of the arachnoid family, has no natural enemies. It is particularly difficult to understand why the species would develop such awesome offensive capabilities, leading to rumors among the scientific community that it was the machinery that proposed the arachnoid. Hello there. Their approach to the arachnoid proposed the symbiotic relationship. This species has some remaining organic internal organs, but its carapace and eyes are made up of inorganic material. All 19 of its eyes are actually photoelectric sensors that the species uses to precisely locate its prey. The gas emitted from the posterior of the first of its leg joints includes a chemical substance that, after making contact with the organism's brain, temporarily controls that organism's actions. The long legs uses its natural phenomenon called the endless dance to make its prey jump between its legs while it moves around in bizarre rhythms. I thought it was going to be like phenome or something, but no, it's just phenomenon. The entire interaction is seemingly odd for a living organism, but the line between organic and inorganic on this planet is not always clear. This specimen is representative of an insect hybrid that uses electricity in addition to glycogen for its energy. Although difficult to confirm due to the microscopic size, blah 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 tiny hairs. Tiny hairs on the creature's legs cause the friction that generates the electrical charge. The electrical charge is processed by the creature's internal battery structure and then restored as an electrical field. As field reaches critical levels, surplus electricity is emitted, resulting in a low voltage current that is transmitted between specimens. It can shock other creatures in the immediate vicinity. Considering this process, it can be surmised that the largest impetus to pack behavior is not so much for the synergetic effect of producing as a pack, as it is to take advantage of this most effective means of group preservation. It's supposed to say, it's supposed to say like as a deuce electrical field or something. But just as electrical field. I forget exactly what it's supposed to say, but it's like deuce in there or something. I don't know. Flint beetles are known to hide in the grass until approached, at which point they jump out and scurry around. These creatures keep undigested food pellets in their stomachs to sustain them through winter, but given the right stimulus, they might spit them out. Recent research has revealed that these pellets are enveloped in a membrane that exhales and preserves them in a sterile, airtight environment. It keeps them at room temperature. If kept at room temperature, it seems that this pellet membrane will keep its contents fresh for up to 6 months. The membrane may be made from the same substance that gives the exoskeleton of the flint beetle its beautiful sheen. So it's pretty on the outside and the inside. Life forms that excrete foul musks to warn of danger are not rare. The diddle bug is the only species known to release flatulence when active above ground. It farts. It's a fart bug. Interestingly enough, since it is merely releasing the gas created by the decay of the contents in the creature's intestines, it does not have a special musk-producing organ. This means that the creature is in fact merely flatulating, farting. Spectral analysis of the rank gas indicates it contains not only methane, but hydrogen sulfide as well, making the flatulence a grade 13 biohazard. This variety of beetle consumes subterranean minerals. Due to the fact it is rarely emerges above ground, sightings with this particular species are extremely rare. While minerals of this beast's primary source of food, the beetle itself does not have the ability to digest these minerals. Instead, metabacteria living inside the beetle's stomach chemically breaks down the minerals. The resulting purified metal is discharged. But rare metals such as gold and platinum crystallize to their interesting beetle's shell, resulting in the beautiful laminated shimmer. These parasitic insects feed on eggs. Upon reaching maturity, they excrete a special pheromone that attracts females of a particular species, enticing these females to swallow them and tie whole. Pikmin, however, seem to dislike the scent. After entering the host female body, the metites lay their own eggs inside the host's egg, just prior to the host spawning. So who lays the eggs we use? That's the question. Its main defensive strategy is to launch the crystal it carries on its back, otherwise it's completely defenseless. In most circumstances, it's a peaceful herbivore whose diet consists primarily of moss. Really? Moss? I don't know. Those things are eating moss? You get the joke, right? Yeah. When in danger, however, it wastes no time defending its territory by breaking small rocks and hurling them at the threat. In order to ensure it has a steady supply of rocks which defend itself, it shares a habitat with calcified clutch flat larvae so it can make use of the shells they cast off, which is not in this game, but that is in Pikmin 3, and this is the surprise, the Pikmin 3 note. It skates on water at high speed thanks to tiny hairs on the tips of its feet. These hairs are coated in an ultra-hydrophobic substance to minimize friction against the water surface. Its long proboscis functions as a straw to take in water, which is stored in a reservoir in its head, as well as to spout as a weapon against small insects. While taking in water, it also takes in microscopic plankton, being that its prime means of defense is also a feeding mechanism. Man, I gotta swallow some spit. A subspecies of the skeeter skate that has adapted to life in muddy wetlands is used its straw-like proboscis, the inside of which is packed with densely grown hair growths to capture any plankton living in the mucky water and filter out anything else. When an enemy approaches, it will threaten them by shooting out a murky substance. The combination of muddy water and gastric juices has a higher viscosity, so it can essentially bury Pikmin and a lot of other stuff in dirt. Okay. It's remarkably similar to its unmarked brethren, but the telltale wing patterns and a lone pair of hind legs give it away. It sticks to its own habitat for the most part, though it may fly away to reach a flower or escape a bull blacks. It will soon return to its home. The white variety gathers no nectar, but sometimes may be found carrying raw material. Okay. The primary morphological difference from other spectrula is the eye-like spot on its hind wings. The offspring has 25% chance of inheriting these spots on orange-colored wings, which count as new subspecies. Who knows? Maybe Pikmin 5 will tell us. Its red wings have several spots, like the lone spot on each wing of the little variety. Its scales contain trace amounts of ultra-spicy flakes, which are mixed into its saliva as it sucks up the nectar from flowers. The combined flakes, saliva, and nectar are refined into ultra-spicy nectar inside the creature, which it uses as a growth supplement for its eggs. Despite this, its reproductive capabilities are quite low. It is for this reason that the red variant fetches astronomical prices among collectors. The cooling cycle in its body uses ammonia as refrigerant to chill moisture it absorbs from the air until it reaches a super cold state. By then spraying it out of the several vents on its belly, the snowflake floodtail creates a delicate cocoon of ice to both protect itself and freeze its prey. Its rolled up spirally proboscis evolved from upper jaw, excuse me, I burped again, and can catch and tie prey with its fine hairs on the surface. Though it mimics a type of swallowtail butterfly, this creature is actually more closely related to moths. One might extrapolate that its ancient ancestor wasn't able to adapt to the cooling climate and therefore went extinct. I am about halfway through. First boss... that wasn't the first boss creature. These were like the first boss creatures. Duh. Okay, the quote-unquote creeping chrysanthemum. These don't just mimic... Like Pikmin, the creeping chrysanthemum is a member of the group of creatures with ambulatory root structures. This creature is known as a mimic, but because it is actually a form of plant, this label is not entirely accurate. It uses mimicry to lie in wait and ambush prey, unrecognized even by Pikmin despite being members of the same class of organisms. It relies on preying upon other creatures to provide sustenance, so it has no need for leaves or photosynthesis. Generally speaking, the role of plants within an ecosystem is as a producer species, and thus plants are generally found at the bottom of the food pyramid. However, on a strange planet, the line between producer plants and consumer plants is blurred. I didn't need to go out to the menu. Wrong button again. I hate this guy. But you know that. The defining characteristic of the fungi that grow on its head differ from that of the chrysanthemum family, creeping chrysanthemum. But the makeup of the body out of which they grow is mostly the same. I wrote that fine. As a result, we can theorize that, like fellow Atticus, the bulbman. A bulbman! This species is not an evolutionary variation, but that the body is a parasite that has nested inside a group of mushrooms. Because the hosts are mushrooms, a subtle spore cannot photosynthesize. Instead, it gains nutrients by catching its prey with highly poisonous fluids, or by absorbing the nectar in the ground left behind as a creature killed by its poison decompose. The adult breadbug competes for many of the same food sources as Pikmin, but its thick skinned hide allows it to withstand most Pikmin group attacks. However, some researchers claim to have observed breadbugs being overwhelmed by massive numbers of Pikmin and reduced to food. Which, I'd never seen, but okay. This gargantuan species of the greater bedbug family has a torso so perfectly square that it almost seems like it was formed in a mold. For a brief period after birth, the giant breadbug competes for food with smaller breadbugs, but upon reaching maturity, it seeks out much larger prey. This is the primary reason that two species with similar feeding habits can coexist in the same habitat. Hosts of Pikmin appear to pose the only possible threat in this massive creature's life. Immediately after hatching, the species presents itself in a gilled, tadpole-like form and grows its legs after about a week. This juvenile galamander specimen is estimated to be about 1 month old, due to the presence of an ore-like growth on its back and the fact that it has already emerged into land. The living ore has substances similar to the treasure within it, a peculiar scent, and is an effect on both senators and Pikmin. However, the lantern organ on its head is still undeveloped and can only emit very faint electromagnetic waves. For this reason, juvenile galamanders often hide out of sight to avoid Pikmin attacks. The oil-like growth on its back is a coagulated bodily fluid that includes a substance similar to sparklium, which can make our mechanical sensors go berserk. To use the technical term, this living ore emits a scent that lures the creature's prey, and so it's also important for their feeding process. I'm getting tired of reading this. The lantern-like organ atop its head emits electromagnetic waves that are known to affect Pikmin and onions, confusing them into thinking the gold matter is their leader, allowing it to withdraw Pikmin directly from the onion. However, it cannot go so far as to command them as a squad, so the Pikmin will often hide under cover and are able to avoid ingestion. Immediately after birth, the species' skin starts to harden, and before long will reach the same imperial toughness as that of an adult. Adult snootwhackers, I love that name, dexterously use their trunks to grab food from the high tree branches, but juveniles consume fruits and nuts that have fallen to the ground, as well as other types of terrestrial flora. The specimen's leg and torso muscles are undeveloped compared to those in their nose, so they lack the strength to maintain their posture and easily lose their balance. The nose on the specimen has neither bone nor cartilage, but is made up entirely of muscle and can be flexibly curved and extended. Its tough hide consists of densely layered collagen lattices that cover almost its entire body, leaving only the regular skin on the belly exposed. The fully developed trunk is large and quite heavy, so the mammoth snootwhacker usually rolls it inward to carry it closer to its center of gravity. But if its territory is invaded, I'm getting tired of reading things wrong, it will extend the trunk and flail it around, even using it to strike a perceived enemy. Just like a juvenile snootwhacker, the nose comprises a disproportional amount of their body weight, resulting in poor balance. If attacked from behind or from the side, even an adult of the species can be easily knocked over. A type of primitive organism called a protochordate. In its juvenile state, it has a skeleton-like structure called a notochord. It flaps its fin tail to move and lives within other creatures' eggs as it grows. As it develops, it starts to exhibit mollusk-like qualities, but its highly exposed external stomach can directly digest prey on contact and also be used for locomotion. A member of the Gulix family, this primitive life form is made of a single cell, which is quite odd given its size. Its nucleus is shaped like a bulbous star, and individuals move by using the fin and the end of its flagellum-like tail to quickly expand and contract its gelatinous body. If the nucleus is removed, its soft body loses all structure and splatters, but as long as the nodule nucleus is still alive, the Fulix can return to its original form. Usually the Fulix will mimic nectar and wait for its prey. Its gel, which includes fire-extinguishing fluids, will then expand to capture and feed on unsuspecting organisms. I'm a little over halfway through. My gosh. There's no rest for me. I gotta keep going. Due to a common phenomenon known as imprinting, this baby will recognize anything that it sees or hears within a given length of time after it hatches as its parent, and consequently follows it around. However, the giant snakeward has two specific conditions for imprinting. The first is that the target must be tall and blue, and the second is related to the sound of its cry. This means that it will never make a mistake with something as small as we are, and will instead recognize it, or us, as food. Since it is self-fledgling, the downy snakeward does not go underground to feed. Instead, it stays on the surface where there's plenty of food. It looks harmless enough, but beware. Its parents may be hiding nearby until the baby is old enough to fend for itself. I didn't go out the menu again, but oh well, I hit the wrong button again. Ugh! Maybe I should have waited till tomorrow to record this. The majority of snakeward species lie in wait to ambush and capture prey, with the body type perfectly adapted to such sudden strikes. It violently attacks small, surface-dwelling insects. Distributed across a relatively wide range, subspecies of snakeward suited to the varying soil conditions have emerged, making the snakeward the most geographically represented species besides the bulborb. Visually resembling the burrowing snakeward is burrowing snarrow. They still got that. They didn't change it. The range of which partially overlaps with the snakeward's range. While the two may appear similar, when pulled from the ground, they can be distinguished by the presence or absence of tail and wing markings. Oh, I went out the menu again. When will the nightmare end? I'm reading terribly today. Please forgive me. White pellets. White pellets look weird. That's just not normal, man. Its overdeveloped respiratory muscles allow it to suck in large volumes of air through its long, thick beak while feeding. Its feathers are small to use for flying. The current theory is that this is due to its niche position in the ecosystem being quite secure thanks to a lack of natural predators and little competition for food in its habitat. However, with the expansion of Pikmin territory, recently its numbers have been gradually declining. Related to bivalves, it uses its internal structure to dexterously manipulate its upper and lower shells. This ability allows it to squash eggs as well as ambuloidices, like Pikmin, thus returning nectar to the ground, then feeds off the microorganisms and moss that benefit from the nectar. To further facilitate the growth of its food, the square cake will secrete oils of its body through its shell and onto the ground. It then sets the area on fire, perhaps as a way to improve soil fertility. This species has muscular organs that can create electricity by using ion gradients within densely layered rows of electricity-generating cells, which are arranged in a symmetrical series. Enter. It uses its plug-like protrusions to instantly shock its prey, and then squashes it. The prey acts as fertilizer, improving the quality of the soils that the microorganisms and moss that the shock cake feeds on can thrive. By emitting frigid air from one side of its shell, it can freeze and squash any prey that approaches too closely. Food can be hard to find in extremely cold climates, so one theory is that the species has developed some kind of mechanism that allows it to store its prey for long periods of time. Ooh, puffstool! A type of ambulofungus. The current working theory is the puffstool evolved from a more common species of fungus that gained animal-like characteristics over time, including the ability to walk. When it senses danger, it will scatter spores from under its cap, releasing a hallucinogen that confuses its attackers. The hallucinogenic compound in the spores is only effective against the species' natural enemies, like the Pikmin, causing them to mistake it for their leader. Pikmin who fall into this trap are then used as workers to maintain nutrition and defenses for the puffstool. My voice hurts. Much of the puffstool, the toxstool is neither animal nor fungus, but a mix of the two, or an ambulofungus. It doesn't serve as a producer or a consumer role in the ecosystem, but it functions instead as a decomposer. It primarily parasitizes other living organisms by blanketing them with its spores. However, the toxstool can infect a sea specimen as well. Its hyphae is able to remove the muscles and control the body as if bringing it back from the dead. Ooh, spooky. The way the fungal filaments grow differs based on the host's organism. In some cases, they cause the host to wander around in search for food to facilitate more nutrient-rich fungal culture medium, and they can also just use the host as means to gather more spores. This is an example of a young bulworm body that's been infected by fungal filaments. Now, as a host, it unconsciously continues to seek out and ingest food, all the while scattering large amounts of spores out of spore sacs on its back until it can no longer move. After all host body activity ceases, the specimen mutates into a fungal culture that will eventually become a juvenile toxstool. That's kind of gross. Both the nervous system and slime-producing organ of the specimen have been invaded by fungal filaments, which is why it scatters spores as it moves. It also shakes spores into other creatures, thus infecting the hosts and expanding the toxstool's habitat and range. Once the host's body ceases to function, it can no longer serve as a fungal culture medium because its body fluids dry up and the corpus shrinks. At the point the host body is abandoned. A species of terrestrial snail-coated in flammable mucus instead of the traditional shell. This creature stays lubricated through a constant secretion of mucus so that the virus never reaches its skin. The most fascinating aspect of these creatures is their instinctive ability to avoid causing widespread fires by carelessly brushing plants. Oh man, I'm getting tired of reading this. How much left do I have? A lot. A lot. It's not that bad, but, you know, also pretty bad. Like, from here to here is quite a lot, so let's just do it. The hair covering its face works as a capacitor. It charges electricity by rubbing the hair on to build static, and then discharges it at enemies intruding on his territory. The more territorial than aggressive, attacking only when threatened rather than to hunt prey. It has several qualities unique to this ecosystem, such as breastfeeding its young, which may somehow give rise to a whole new taxonomy of fauna here. No matter what I try, I can't read these things correctly. The imbalanced asymmetrical arms of the Mimeta are among its most notable features. Feeding on seeds and fruit, the Mimeta is known to actually grow plant species. While other species have exhibited seed-bearing behavior for the purposes of storage, the Mimeta is the only species so far known to actually cultivate fields of plants. Its needle-like covered armor is soft and quite exposed. Furthermore, it has a cowardly disposition, so when its chance is given, even the slightest danger, it shoots out its spikes. Generating new spikes requires significant amounts of caloric energy, so this creature requires significant amounts of food. This likely explains why, even when it's conscious through garbage, it sucks up not just the insects it finds, but also the trash itself. They have ingested quite a few of its dolphin's parts, too, but those couldn't be mistaken for trash. This fully life form just effortlessly on the winds. Upon death, its physical structure instantly collapses, and the creature is particularly elusive and difficult to catch. No sample specimens have been acquired as of yet. If we could simply recover a live specimen, research on this species would likely proceed more smoothly. ... You probably don't know what this is going to say, but I gotta read it anyway. This species of blowhog uses internally generated hydrogen to inflate a flotation bladder and hover above the ground. The creature's electrified pulse creates a slash of color that flows along the surface of its body, making it a particularly beautiful blow species in the blowhog family. Precisely how it's able to internally stabilize hydrogen, highly explosive hydrogen, and simultaneously generate electricity remains a mystery. The puff blowhog blows leaves and grass around the insects underneath. It maintains mid-air buoyancy by using its fire fins and releasing air through blowholes. This enables it to float effortlessly, even in the breeze. This creature possesses 3 lungs, an air sac used as primary respiratory organ, flotation bladder that gives its buoyancy, and a cold sac that stores cold air. Like the puffy blowhog, its buoyancy is a result of the hydrogen produced by electrolysis. Its icy breath is condensed carbon dioxide, much like the snowy blowhog. Different species within the blowhog family have many features in common when you look at this closely at the structure and characteristics of their internal organs. Neat. The withering blowhog is a close relative to the puffy blowhog, but its breath is significantly weaker. However, its breath does contain a petal-withering plant hormone that causes the flowers to instantly lose their petals. Although its breath has not been studied in detail, analysis of the chemical compounds evolved to hold a great promise for the biotechnology sector. This native deadly float is indigenous to the region. Unfortunately, it is currently endangered, as habitat is being overwhelmed by hostile invasive species. Vivid pink coloration is the most notable characteristic of this floating life form. This invasive species is not native to the region, having appeared to have recently arrived on wind currents. Well, not that recently. The luminescent organs atop its head attract prey, which it then sucks up and consumes with its lower orifice. Unlike jellyfish, the jellyfield's tentacles do not have pneumatocysts, so there is no danger in touching them. The yellow wallywog spawns in early spring, laying its eggs on low-hanging tree branches and shrubs growing in or near lakes and ponds. Such an orthodox amphibious behavior is a defense mechanism, protecting the eggs from predation by blue Pikmin and water dumples. The wallywog's wild hopping near the shoreline in early spring is thought to be a method of driving predators away from wogpole eggs. This magnificent specimen has a remarkably bright coloration compared to the rest of the amphibious family, as well as 3 lateral spots. This species seems to have lost some swim efficiency with it. The evolutionary adaptation that granted it greater jumping ability. The yellow wallywog inhabits aquatic shallows and shows an instinctive drive to jump up on and squash smaller creatures. It is believed that the juvenile wallywogs were once carried by underground currents into caverns where they thrived in the dark habitat. This troglodytic species of wallywog coloration results from generations of cave dwelling and lack of sunlight. A comparative difference between the size and shape of the wallywog and other species is thought to be the result of natural selection at work, choosing trees better suited to life in subterranean environment. When squashing prey with its mighty leap with the chilly wog, it creates a bodily fluid made of ammonium nitrate, urea, and water. This causes an endothermic reaction that rapidly freezes its prey, making its attacks all the more lethal. After squashing, the prey gets sucked up through the chilly hop's belly. Since its species can store its food in a significant, slightly chill state without eating it for a time, it can easily adapt to environments where prey is scarce. It's widely believed that the yellow wallywogs and other related species can continue to grow until they start breeding, but after that, their growth rate plummets. However, in safe environments, ones that lack natural predators, for example, some individuals of the species may forego reproduction altogether and continue growing until they reach gigantic proportions. The yellow wallywogs telomerase enzymes are particularly active, which prevents their body cells from aging. Under the right conditions, it is not unusual for some individuals to reach over 50 years of age. A resident of freshwater pools and marshes, this aquatic creature regularly feeds on insects that land on the surface of the water. It shares a nearly identical cell structure with its close relative, the terrestrial cousin of a bullboard. This may offer clues to its evolutionary origin and suggest that it only recently immigrated to an aquatic habitat. Many assume it's undeveloped due to its large eyes and lack of fins, but this is simply its normal fully grown form. Though its dorsal elemental fins have atrophied, the long caudal fin helps to compensate for this. It can leap high enough out of the water to catch low-flying prey. The scales comprising the round patches along the sides are known to turn light pink during breeding season. Its hidden spikes evolve from scales that were once used on its forehead. The prickle puff uses them to charge and chase off unknown creatures that enter its territory. Its liver and ovaries contain powerful nerve toxins accumulated from ingesting shellfish and algae with the trace amounts of poison. These toxins not only function as alternative pheromones, but also seem to keep predators at bay. However, once it's dead, the Pikmin have no issues carrying the creature back to the onion, with poison is broken down into valuable nutrients. Its eyes and stubby feet make it look like an octopus, hence the name, but it's closer in autonomy to the starfish. It sleeps long during the day, but it will stay alert for approaching predators when it dries off by puffing itself up and releasing bubbles. Closer research suggests that the true purpose for its bubbles is to protect its eggs during spawning season. A juvenile Piklopedia crab, small in size, its right pincer is only half grown. Because of this, it often hunts by hiding on the ground and lying in wait to ambush its prey. Generally, crabs pass through the larval stages, zoa and megalopa, as they approach juvenile crabhood, not adulthood. Instead, the Piklopedia crab is born with a body shaped like an onion, absorbing its nutrition through the ground and sprouting legs as it grows. Perhaps it's a close relative of species in the Ambuloadicus class. I can't ever say that word. Its unnaturally large claw is used for catching prey, for self-defense, and most surprisingly, for its mating call. Most aspects of the crab's life revolve around it, which may explain why they become fearful and docile when the claw is damaged. It will also account for the claw's remarkable regenerative capabilities, which can restore it completely in a single night. It's also known to blow bubbles when under attack, but this is a result of it venting from a wrong discharge valve when under extreme stress. This bipedal creature walks upright, so its motion is noticeably slow, but the long reach of its pincers is useful for catching prey and tossing it into the wide mouth on top of its head. When young, the mouth stays closed, and the grubchucker lives on things like shellfish, nuts, and fruits, using the small trophy located behind the feelers below its eyes. As it grows, its what are these words? Its synicopedal mouth opens, and it can start eating larger quantities of food. It has few natural enemies, primarily due to its height. However, it's often found in dimmer wetlands or underground to protect the soft top of its shell from the sun's rays. Looking at its eyes and sickle-shaped legs characteristic of the squillas, one would think this is a squilla relative. In fact, it's a relative of the hermit crab. This species, however, has migrated from a seaside life in a shell and instead inhabits burrows in the ground. While its legs appear sickle-like, they are pincers that have evolved into a fin shape. This beast feeds on small creatures that pass by its lair, drinking them inside to eat them. Like its cousin, the hermit cromad, it makes its home in a burrow rather than a shell. It has abnormally overdeveloped eyes, with which to detect prey in cloudy water or low visibility mud. These enormous eyes can perceive circular polarized light as well as the ultraviolet infrared spectrum. It is well protected from the predators, allowing it to live for upward of 50 years and grow to immense size by repeated ecdysis. It's doing better. We're doing better. Its body is covered in a hard carapace and has an extremely ferocious personality. It spreads its sharp fanged jaws to catch its prey. The crested rumrup suffers from poor vision, but uses the fine hairs in the lower part of its tail and the bell-shaped sensory organ at the tip to detect faint quasi-electrostatic fields emitted by other organisms. In short, it has other ways to sense predators and prey. Using the pearl that takes shape inside its body and as bait, the creature lures prey into its interior and traps it within its shell to feed. It's also worth noting that this pearl may be just an amalgamation of outside materials wrapped in a viscous gelatin exterior. On the frequent occasions when it cannot get the food for itself, this creature can also obtain nutrients when the symbiotic algae within its body photosynthesize. For this reason, it can often be found within its mouth wide open on shoals or sandy beaches that get a lot of sunshine. That was nice. I like that one. Quite nice. This species of creature has yet to complete its evolution from bloom camp oyster to the more advanced ranging oyster, which is not in this game. Compared to the latter, this creature is substantially smaller. The fact that its mandibles do not protrude as significantly as the ranging oysters is due in part to the fact that, like most of mollusks, its vital organs are located deep within the creature's carapace. The flower-like appendage on its back is actually a gill, that prefers a watery habitat from which it can capture unsuspecting small prey with its sticky tendrils. The origin species from which the ranging and toy oyster evolved, it still carries a large shell on its back. The exposed head and legs are covered by a layer of tough muscles, so it barely moves when attacked. On the other hand, it has extremely sensitive flower-like gills that are characteristic of the molluscan family. When the gills are touched, the oyster cannot breathe and must open its shell, exposing its soft body. Amphibious with gentle demeanor, it simply swallows up anything that happens to enter its field of vision, like a kind of living vacuum cleaner. This species prefers to inhabit cloudy, stagnant water like that in swamps. This thing is gross, and it spends most of its life buried in deep mud hiding. Using its 6 eyelid sensory organs, it can detect minute movements in the water and vibrations on nearby land. It will then forcefully leap out of the water and suck its prey to feed. With entirely cartilaginous skeleton, its somewhat primitive features, its round, chinless mouth, it appears to be some sort of primeval creature. All that's known about this creature stems from a few sightings deep underground. All reported sightings feature the same core set of details: a giant, viscous form with a clear, hazy sheen not unlike hard candy. One theory holds that it may be the ectoplasmic incarnation of a kind of psychic phenomenon, but as it usually is the case with such theories, it is very hard or difficult to prove. All witnesses report being suddenly overcome with fear upon sighting the creature, approaching the state of panic and near insanity. In fact, every report contains an inordinate amount of extremely vague details, which has led to suspicions that exhaustion and fear have caused some supernatural phenomenon to be viewed as a living creature. The smoky frog's body is constantly deteriorating, so collecting a living sample has been proving difficult, and research into species has progressed at a glacial rate. However, by examining the genes adhered to the smoky frog's eggs, it's been confirmed that they are, in fact, mammutid eggs. This discovery allows for the possibility that mammutid that do not develop properly and hatch become smoky frogs. If, hypothetically, a mammutid were to remain above ground at night and absorb glow sap, that might impact nutrient levels within its eggs, yolk. That change could lead to the inviability or breakdown its enzymes. Then, maybe I read that completely wrong, but whatever. Okay, let's just move on. If we harvest mesenchymal stem cells from this organic canine creature and cultivate them with glow sap, the generated serum should return Ochi's leaf-eyed tail to normal once administered. These results would indicate that 99.9% of the canine's creature's DNA matches Ochi's, and that the only difference between Ochi and moss may be the natural presence or absence of a leaf tail. If these two theories prove to be true, it would suggest that the possibility that this ancient creature is a common ancestor to the two canine species from vastly remote star systems, and that perhaps there are even more hidden secrets out there that could hint at a fascinating yet inconceivable truth the universe has yet to reveal. As far as I can tell, Moss has been a leafling pup since birth, and some of her DNA resembles that of the Pikmin. This is the one point at which she differs from Ochi. When Ochi transformed from a standard-faced dog to a leafling pup, I started to theorize that the Pikmin are, in some capacity, propagating their DNA in other organisms. The phenomenon in which these castaways, including myself, became leaflings was very likely caused by being absorbed into the onion. Perhaps that process was also some sort of pigmentification of the body. Pigmentified organisms can't leave this planet, so the Pikmin may have been motivated to carry out this process in an effort to secure a permanent leader. Of course, this is all a theory. Pikmin are part of the Ambulodicus class, which consists of creatures that exhibit both plant and animal characteristics. A Pikmin will instinctively follow whether plucks it from the ground, so it's quite common for them to form symbiotic relationships with other species or accept a leader of a different species. This serves the goal of propagating their own species as a whole. The red Pikmin is the most common Pikmin species. It can be identified by the nose-like protuberance on its head and its highly aggressive behavior. It also has a few surprising unique qualities. For example, its immunity to extreme heat and fire, despite the fact it's a living organism. This can be explained by looking closely at the skin and muscle fibers, which are made up of flamescent cellulose. I'm almost done. It's generally believed that the Pikmin body was originally the root of a plant that has evolved over centuries, if not millennia, developing structures analogous to muscles. I don't think I pronounced that right, but okay. Neural networks similar to those of the brain, and more. However, real Pikmin possess a perfect resistance to electricity, a force which actually poses extreme danger to other organisms. Oddly enough, this species of Pikmin actually seems to enjoy electricity. Their flowers even bloom when they are exposed to an electric current. This fact would lead one to believe that their natural transmission methods are quite different than our own. This species often uses the ear-like lamellae on its head to soar to great heights and dig holes. So you're telling me it is the ears that cause them to fly higher? No. It's supposed to be because they're lighter, and that's supposed to be what it is. I don't like that theory. The accepted theory is that the Pikmin evolved from terrestrial root vegetables, and so would be unable to breathe underwater, and subsequently drown. Yet the blue Pikmin possess a gill resembling a mouth on their head, which enables them to activate underwater. To be active underwater, not activate underwater. While on land, they leaf and flower like other Pikmin species, and they breathe through the stomata on their skin, indicating they must be naturally amphibious. Pigment proteins on the surface of their body essentially form the same photosynthetic process as cyanobacteria, for example, which is what gives them their striking color. This Pikmin species is definitely a member of the Pikmin genus, but its body does not share any of the plant-like traits that Pikmin are known for. Instead, it's comprised primarily of stone. The stone is actually the most chosen host for a parasitic subset of Pikmin species nicknamed Hermikmin. Hermikmin, that's funny. Similar to how a seed can sprout and push through the cracks of a rock, the Pikmin's roots stretch deep into the stones, storing its vital organs in the interior cavity that resembles a crystal geode. Because this species displays characteristics common in parasitism, one could hypothesize the rock candy pot bud stockpile stone that will eventually host the rock Pikmin. The wings on the back of this flying Pikmin species closely resemble the wings that you would find in a flying creature. It's possible that an ancient winged onion somehow absorbed a flying creature's DNA, which then resulted in the precursor to the winged Pikmin transforming into the species we recognize today. If this theory is correct, then onions might also be serving the role of messenger, transmitting traits and characteristics to their Pikmin. Pikmin that supposedly evolved from plants, yet there are also Pikmin species with bodies made of ice, known as ice Pikmin. How is this possible? The answer to this question lies in the fact that ice Pikmin are parasitic by nature, and the ice serves as the host. The composition of this type of ice is, predictably, mostly water, but it resembles saline solution with faint concentrations of trace sodium ions, potassium ions, and calcium ions that function as neurotransmitters, aka boring science. Interestingly, the ice exhibits no visual signs of melting or dripping when exposed to sunlight. This is due to its low-temperature core, which continuously creates more ice in order to maintain a consistent size. White Pikmin are born through a color-changing process within white candy pot buds, which only grow underground. The poison, of course, unless you get a white onion, the poison within its body is a type of diterpene alkali similar to a toxin often found in certain plant roots. If ingested, it can lead to vomiting, respiratory distress, and complete organ failure, ultimately resulting in death due to cardiac arrest. Though strong, poison also has medicinal uses, sometimes going by the name aconite, I believe is how you're supposed to pronounce that. The Pikmin are amblodices, and evolve from plants, but it seems some species retain more of their plant-based evolutionary heritage than others. Slightly larger in size, purple Pikmin can weigh up to 10 times as much as other Pikmin species, and when thrown to the ground, their impact creates gravitational waves that can actually warp space-time. It's astonishing. The density of their muscle fibers is also much higher than that of other Pikmin, allowing them to transport 10 times as much of their weight as average-sized counterparts, which would mean, like, they can... No, I'm reading that wrong. Their rich purple color is derived from strong polyphenol antioxidants. Like white Pikmin, they are born from underground candy pot buds, and no related onions have been discovered so far. Well, so far. I think somewhere underground, deep among the relics of the past, a purple onion is waiting to be discovered. Wow. Spoilers, I guess. Sometimes it lies dormant, much like a bulb, but it can dig up from the ground. And provide it with some stimulus, for example, a good hard shake, and it will activate, sprouting 3 root-like legs. It serves a role similar to a nest or an incubator for the Pikmin, absorbing pellets of the bodies of dead creatures for their nutritional value, and then propagating Pikmin in the same color as itself. Onions also seem to greedily attempt to replicate certain characteristics of the matter of matter that they absorb by combining with or absorbing other onions, sometimes of the same type. It's been confirmed that just like Pikmin, an onion has muscle fibers in its body, and though it is unable to walk, it is capable of a small range of motion. However, when one breaks down the biological matter it has absorbed, a fuel similar to a bioethanol is created. Onions spray this fuel out of the mouths of their underbellies and are able to fly using their flower-like propellers for stabilization. We're almost done. While it doesn't sprout or create a Pikmin, the specimen is still a type of onion. A bulb like this one can be divided into 7 segments. It's highly nutrient dense and contains strong energizing and analytic effects. The compounds responsible for its characteristic smell resemble onion growth hormones. When absorbed by an onion, it fulfills a critical role in the Pikmin proliferation by increasing the total number of Pikmin that can be withdrawn from the onion at any given time. Just like onions, it contains muscle fibers, but flour-like has no animalistic qualities to speak of. However, if you place one near an onion, it may start to move a bit, as though it's trying to roll over so that it can be absorbed. What looks like the interior of a flower is actually an insectivorous leaf that's developed into an organ. The organ releases a sweet scent from its central pistil, luring small insects into its interior and trapping them. The DNA of these creature organisms is directly absorbed by the plant's cells, which might indicate that this species is attempting to evolve at an astounding speed, but in most cases the cells essentially self-destruct. The bud then releases Pikmin seeds of the same color, and the plant withers. Muscle fibers are extremely similar to those of an onion, but are also found in this species, so one could hypothesize that a candy pot bud is an under or underdeveloped onion. However, there aren't enough details to confirm this theory. Either way, we're almost done. We're almost done. In a stand with the Piklopedia, one can observe the muscle fiber unique to half plant, half animal species, such as the Pikmin, the candy pot bud flower, so the Piklopedia is a species that can be considered a close relative. Although the ability to crystallize nectar is unique to the small group of the Piklopedia family, the fact is that the plants can reach purity so quickly that the pellets contain such concentrations of the natural nutrients that the soil explains why the Pikmin and so many other species are so reliant on its pellets for sustenance. Like the Piklopedia, while nectar is its primary source of nutrients, this bursting spiderwort produces fruit with high amounts of super spicy compound. Both this plant and the Piklopedia are part of the pilotweed family, but the spiderwort does not crystallize nectar because of the different fungi that parasite its roots. Instead, it produces alkaloids that contain 3 extra Pikmin compounds. The alkaloids are then extracted and collected by way of the plant's fruit enter. Whether or not a plant produces a super spicy or super sweet compound seems to depend on the type of fungus which it interacts. So, it's going to be an ultra sweet spray. Although they've been named glow Pikmin, it's not entirely clear whether or not these species are actually a type of Pikmin. These creatures possess the same fundamental behaviors of Pikmin, like carrying things, propagating, and fighting. They also share special characteristics, such as the leaf atop their head, and they do not spawn from an onion, but a luminol, and they are only active at night or underground. During the day, they revert into seeds and enter a resting state. What's even more surprising is that they exhibit no signs of life. When a glow Pikmin dies, if that word can be even used, it does not expire in the typical sense. Instead, it just becomes a form of light, or perhaps a photon, and returns to luminol. Putting aside my scientist hat for a moment, it seems to me that this creature or entity may not be living organism at all, but some other manner of spiritual substance. Yeah, this is it. Besides the fact that they serve as incubators and nests for glow Pikmin, we know very little about the luminol's ecology. Well, when nocturnal creatures die, luminol can't break them down into glow pellets, though it's strong dissolving enzymes. When nocturnal creatures die, luminol can't break them down into glow pellets to its strong dissolving enzymes. This matter, when condensed, becomes glow sap. One might assume glow sap is an extremely dangerous substance, but has hardly any negative effects. In fact, I've had it administered to me personally as curative medicine to break down growing leaves. Luminols were only appear in places where an onion was located earlier in the day, and since they propagate glow Pikmin, one can surmise that they are rhizomes from these onions. Perhaps using its dissolving powers, it returns the nectar that supports the ecosystem back to the soil.
Yeah, honey.
I'm glad it's over with. We're done! Hooray! Thanks for watching. Because the next one... Alright, goodbye.